You ever wonder why Japanese and Korean meals always come with two sticks instead of, say, a knife and fork? Well, it turns out it involves a Chinese philosopher, a French cardinal, and a surprising shortage of firewood. Yep, this is a story about etiquette, economics, and the subtle art of eating without stabbing anyone. So, what's the deal with knives? They've been around since people first thought, hey, I like cutting stuff. Sharp, efficient, and admittedly kind of intense for a peaceful dinner. But somewhere along the way, knives started causing problems. Not just in battlefields or back alleys, but right there at the table. The first chopsticks we know of, wood, slender, and roughly 3,000 years old, were dug up from the ruins of Yin, the last capital of the Shang Dynasty, but they weren't for eating. Nope. These early chopsticks were stirrers, tools for kitchen cauldrons bubbling with communal stew. In fact, the Shang still relied on knives and long forks in the kitchen, and at the table, fingers were fine dining. Back then, the idea of delicate table manners hadn't quite boiled over yet. Meals were functional. Grab, chew, survive. Fast forward about 1,000 years to the Han Dynasty, ancient China's expansionist powerhouse. Their staple? Millet. Specifically, porridge made from millet. Delicious? Maybe. Easy to eat with chopsticks? Absolutely not. So, spoons were king, and chopsticks remained on kitchen duty. But then, the Han expanded southward and discovered something game-changing: rice. Rice paddies blanketed the land. And not just any rice, sticky rice. The kind that clumps together in satisfying, bite-sized mouthfuls. Perfect for two sticks working in tandem. Add in wheat creeping into the north, and suddenly the dining table was filled with new textures. Noodles, dumplings, buns. Chopsticks were no longer just tools. They were lifestyle upgrades. And then came stir-frying, the ultimate plot twist. Tiny cuts, quick cooking, minimal fuel, pre-cut, bite-sized ingredients that didn't even need a knife at the table. Welcome to the golden age of chopsticks. Now, here's something tasty. Economics played a huge role. China's population at the time was massive, nearly a quarter of the entire world. More people meant fewer resources, less metal for forks, fewer trees for firewood. Cooking fast and efficiently wasn't just smart, it was survival. Cut food small, cooks faster, uses less fuel, gets eaten with chopsticks, repeat. And there's even a sprinkle of psychology. The more you eat with chopsticks, the more you prefer smaller bites. It rewires your food logic. Cue the arrival of Confucius, the ancient sage who didn't just shape Chinese thought, he kind of rewrote dinner too. In his view, knives didn't belong on a gentleman's table. They were instruments of violence, not peaceful meals. He believed dining should be about harmony, not hidden threats or sharp tools waiting to poke a guest. And he wasn't just ranting at brunch. His views got canonized in the Book of Rites, one of the 5 major Confucian texts. It's like if Emily Post met Socrates, and they both had strong opinions about soup. Now let's hop continents. 17th century France. Enter Cardinal Rishelu, clergyman, statesman, and dinner host with a flair for control. Back then, European table knives were sharp. So sharp, guests sometimes picked their teeth with them, or worse, settled a debate mid-meal. Rishelu, scandalized by the state of his dinner parties, had the tips of every table knife rounded off. And voila, the modern table knife was born. Not to slice, but to serve. It was cutlery with a conscience. So here we are, 2 men, worlds apart, arriving at the same conclusion. Confucius removes the knife from the table entirely. Rishelu blunts it into submission. Both aiming for civility, both shaping how millions would dine for centuries. One chose wood and philosophy, the other steel and diplomacy. And so, knives moved from the table to the kitchen, where sharp things belong. Chopsticks took center stage. Not because they were quirky or exotic, but because they were perfect, affordable, efficient, and, oddly, elegant. And they came wrapped in centuries of culinary wisdom. Using them meant you were part of a bigger idea, one about harmony, balance, and maybe saving a little firewood while you're at it. Well, fellow campers, I hope today's tale tickled your taste buds and sharpened your noodle. Metaphorically, of course. If you're hungry for more deliciously brainy stories, we're already cooking up the next campfire session. So subscribe, or tap that bell gently with a chopstick or a politically reformed dinner knife. Thanks for joining us here at Mind Camp, where curiosity never goes hungry, and the utensils always come with a story.